Astral Projection Beginner's Guide. Powerful astral projection and astral travel techniques that work fast. L. Jordan. Introduction. Chances are that at one point or another throughout your life, you've heard of the term astral projection. But what does it actually mean? Despite the sound of the term, it has nothing to do with astronomy. In fact, it is a wholly individualistic practice, and simply put, it is a type of out-of-body experience that you can learn to achieve all on your own. Most likely, you've consulted this guide because you're curious about the practice of astral projection. Throughout this book, you'll learn about the astral plane, which is a dimension separate from the one that you exist in during everyday life. Not only will you explore the possibilities of astral travel, but you'll also discover workable techniques so that you, too, can achieve this phenomenon. This ebook will provide you with all of the tools you need to get started in your journey towards achieving astral projection. Good luck in your astral travels, and enjoy the wonders of this incredible realm of existence. Chapter 1: What is astral projection? Astral projection allows your realm of consciousness to actually exit your physical body temporarily. Your conscious mind takes on an astral form, yet your physical body still remains living. The astral being that your spirit takes on remains anchored to your physical body via a silver cord, often compared to an umbilical cord, of sorts. The cord is not always visible to everyone, but experienced projectors maintain the fact that it is definitely there, and that everyone who projects must have one. Many refer to the dimension which astral beings inhabit as the astral plane or spirit world. Most individuals can experience astral projection during lucid dreaming or deep meditation, though others can astral project from an awakened state. While the topic of astral projection has always been a topic of debate amongst scientists, philosophers, and those who study psychology, it's important to note that it has in fact been practiced for thousands of years. Astral projection is an ancient practice that has been known to be achieved by individuals all around the world, from shaman to philosophers. Can I achieve it? Astral projection is often described as a rare practice that can only be achieved by those who are predisposed to it. In other words, many individuals perpetuate the notion that it cannot be learned, and that only a select few are capable of achieving astral projection in the first place. Moreover, some theorists believe that not every being is an astral being at all, and most scientists reject the theory of astral projection altogether, simply because it involves a spiritual realm. In many cases, science aims to disprove the theory that a state of consciousness that can be achieved outside the brain is impossible. Yet, for spiritual thinkers, the idea that science can disprove a practice simply because there is no physical evidence that it does exist seems bogus. Likewise, the fact that astral projection has been discussed for thousands of years is, in itself, reason to consider the legitimacy of the phenomenon. For those who have undergone astral projection, it is said to be quite a profound experience. While it's true that not everyone has experienced astral projection, and most likely, some will never attempt it, the population of astral projectors may not be as small as we think. Some studies show that 5 to 10% of the population has achieved astral projection or at least some sort of out-of-body experience, while other studies state that up to 20% of the world's population has done so. Even if only 10% of the US population has experienced the phenomena, that would mean that about 30 million people have transcended the astral plane. That is, by no means, a small number. You can join that percentage, as long as you're mentally freed enough to approach the subject of astral projection openly and without preconceived doubt. By preparing yourself properly, you can achieve astral projection and live to testify on behalf of its existence for all of the doubters and naysayers. It may take a while for you to achieve the practice, but once you do, you'll be more likely to be able to return to your astral state with ease. Astral projection should be approached with patience and calmness. There is no sense in trying to rush the experience, because one is often unable to reach the state at which astral projection occurs if he or she is not calm and at ease. You may find that it's beneficial to first learn the art of meditation, and then begin to move towards the realm of astral projection. Yet, as long as you're able to ease your mind and can relax in a calm environment, you'll most likely be able to begin working towards astral projection. Chapter 2: How to Achieve Astral Projection. Like many spiritual phenomena, the act of astral projection is unique to each individual who practices it. Nonetheless, there are some behaviors that tend to be helpful in achieving astral projection, especially for those who are aiming to experience it for the first time. Before you begin practicing astral projection, it may be helpful for you to understand the difference between the activity itself and normal dreaming. When you enter a dream state during sleep, your subconscious controls the soul. On the other hand, when you astral project, you can consciously take control of your soul. That's why many people refer to astral projection as conscious sleep. Have you ever been on the verge of sinking into sleep, when you're jarred awake by the sensation of falling? Many supporters of astral projection point to this sensation as proof that your soul leaves the body during sleep. That feeling of falling is actually what occurs when your soul comes back into the body. Astral projection takes it a step further than the falling sensation. Some projectors describe the feeling they experience as a head-exploding sensation, followed by a tingling feeling all throughout the body. If you feel a sense of building pressure in your head, that likely means that you're on your way to effectively achieving astral projection. Following the tingling sensation, your body will become limp, and, if you've found success in your projection, you'll be able to control your soul once it leaves the body. Now that you understand what, exactly, occurs with your soul during astral projection versus typical dreaming, you can begin experimenting with different techniques. Keep in mind that astral projection is a very individualistic experience, and that what works for you may be very different from what works for others. Don't lose sight of that in your practice. Approach it with patience and a calm, open mind. Time of day. A common misconception surrounding the art of astral projection is that it should be practiced at bedtime. Here's why that's not always the case. When you're tired, you're more likely to give up control and let your soul sink into the typical, unconscious dream realm. As we mentioned above, typical sleep is very different from astral projection. Unconscious sleep is a means of resting the consciousness, whereas astral projection allows you to retain control of your conscious being, and does not allow for it to rest. That's why many projectors recommend practicing in the morning, especially for those who are new to astral projection. Aim to practice right when you wake up, when you're still drowsy enough that you'll be able to easily sink back into a state of relaxation, but your soul is rested from the state of unconsciousness you've been in for the past few hours. It may also be easier for you to achieve a state of heightened awareness during the early morning hours versus nighttime. Again, though, keep in mind that what works for some does not work for others. If you try practicing astral projection in the morning, and after many times find that you can't come anywhere even close to achieving it, don't rule out the idea of practicing at nighttime. There isn't any wrong time to practice, and in fact, many projectors define success practicing at night. You can continue to alter your approach until you find a technique that works for you, even if it means practicing in a way that's different from how most others do it. Surroundings. Although some master projectors can achieve astral projection under just about any circumstances, many individuals require the proper atmosphere to reach their desired state. It can be especially beneficial for beginners to use specific surroundings to better ease themselves into a state of full relaxation. It will probably be easiest for you to achieve astral projection if you're completely alone. Distractions from others can hinder your ability to reach a state of total relaxation, so if possible, try to practice when you're on your own. You should also be as comfortable as possible. Wherever you choose to practice, Whether it's in your bed or on a couch, make sure that you'll be able to lie still in a state of comfort, and that your body can become relaxed without having to readjust often. Also, make sure that you're wearing loose, unrestricted clothing. Do whatever you can to make yourself as comfortable as possible. Eliminate any distractions. Turn your phone on silent, draw the curtains, and make sure that you're practicing during a peaceful, quiet time. You want to avoid any and all interruptions when you're working towards astral projection. You should aim to lie on your back if it's comfortable for you. Close your eyes, and try not to let your mind wander or drift toward any distracting thoughts. If it suits you, you may want to choose to repeat a specific mantra that works for you, such as awaken mind, sleeping body, or a similar variation. Repeat the phrase until you find yourself losing consciousness. Relax thoroughly. If you're struggling and feel particularly uncomfortable, go ahead and roll over to your side or adjust yourself as necessary. Again, there are no strict rules when it comes to astral projection. You need to do what works for you in order to achieve total relaxation. Most importantly, though, remember to fully allow yourself to reach the state of relaxation. Oftentimes, we are our own most difficult roadblocks on the journey towards losing consciousness. Sometimes, especially when you first begin learning astral projection, it can be scary or unfamiliar to try to reach a state of conscious sleep. Fear, however, is one of the most common obstacles that beginners grapple with. You must put yourself at ease, and realize that the remarkable sensation of achieving astral projection is nothing to be afraid of. In fact, you may observe a phenomenon that appears as flashing lights, or you may also experience a tingling sensation throughout your body. As difficult as it may be, you should try to resist the urge to react to these happenings. You don't want to come out of the state you're trying to achieve. Give in to the sensation of losing consciousness. As with any other meditative or relaxation practice, it can be helpful for you to focus on your breathing. Your goal here is to breathe deeply, allowing your body to fully inhale, and then exhale in completion. Do not let any tension reside within your body. In fact, you should aim to let go of all active feeling and allow yourself to get to a state in which you can't, in a sense, feel your body. You may wish to begin by relaxing your toes, focusing on letting go and just letting them exist without any control. Then, you can begin to make your way up over the rest of your body, repeating the process. Each muscle should be fully relaxed, and your head should be the last place that you reach in your relaxation journey. Even though you're working towards the goal of achieving astral projection, your mind should not be focused on the idea of it. If you're overthinking it, you'll be less likely to achieve successful results. Don't think about anything in particular, and remember to focus on your breath and relaxing your body. Freeing the soul from the body. There are endless techniques that individuals use to remove their soul from their physical bodies, but not every one of them is effective for each person. Chances are that you'll need to experiment with a few different techniques before finding one that sticks. Again, don't get discouraged when you try out different methods. The possibility that you'll actually experience astral projection during your first attempt is very, very unlikely, but don't let that deter you. It is possible for you to learn to astral project. Many beginners practice simply moving the soul from the body by aiming to first achieve a hypnotic state. They don't focus on any one method in particular, and instead strive for a wakeful sleep by first letting their minds focus on one specific part of the body. Oftentimes, people focus on a foot, hand, or even a finger or toe. Allow yourself to fully visualize that part of your body, and focus on it fully until your mind is void of all other thoughts. From there, you can move into a state of mental movement. You'll use your mind to flex the body part, but you should not physically move it. Continue to mentally envision the body part curling or flexing, until it would seem that you are actually, physically moving, even though only your mind is at work. Once you've targeted one specific area of your body, and can effectively visualize the movement of this part with just your mind, transfer this process to the remainder of your body. You can begin by approaching one body part at a time with this method, working until you're able to move the entire body with just your mind. Next, you may experience a sense of vibration. This indicates that your soul is prepared to leave the body. Again, don't be alarmed by the sensation, whether it's vibration or tingling, and give in to the feeling. Avoid fear, and let yourself go. Despite the fact that many people believe that astral projection is a phenomenon that simply occurs on its own, you will most likely have to actively release your soul from your physical body, especially at first. You can achieve this by envisioning the room that you're lying in. Using the method described above, mentally move your body to stand up, and allow it to move about the room. Allow this mental projection of your body to walk across the room and look at your own body on the bed. Those who have successfully achieved astral projection say that you'll know you've done it correctly when you can gaze upon your body from an outside perspective at a specific point within the room. In other words, your conscious self is separated from your physical body. If you're struggling to achieve the projection, consider starting small. Try to repeat the approach described above, in which you focus solely on one part of the body at a time. You may only be able to lift one limb or extremity in the beginning, but with practice, you can eventually project your entire body. To re-enter your body, you will need to use the guiding force of the silver cord back to your physical self. Once you've done that, you can re-enter your body, and begin to physically, not just mentally, move your limbs, waking into a physically conscious state. Chapter 3, Astral Projection Techniques. Because astral projection has been practiced for many years, there are innumerable methods by which it has been achieved. The method must be specific to the individual. Just because one person may experience continued success by practicing one way certainly does not mean that the same approach will work at all for a different person. That being said, there are a few distinct methods that are most popular, simply because many individuals have found success by implementing these practices. The Monroe Technique. This method was developed by Dr. Robert Monroe, a well-known expert on the topic of astral projection. His method is very similar to the basic approach described above. First, you must relax completely. You'll need to try to fall asleep, without actually succumbing to an unconscious sleep state. In other words, you'll need to balance between sleep and wakefulness, also known as the hypnagogic state. Once you reach that state, allow yourself to fall deeper into it, ridding your mind of distracting thoughts. Look at the blackness in front of you, but keep your eyes closed. Sink even deeper into the relaxed state, and welcome any vibrations that you begin to feel moving across your body. In fact, your goal should be to intensify these vibrations, if possible. You should aim to control them and strengthen them, at which point your astral body will separate from your physical being. The rope technique. Robert Bruce, the founder of this extremely effective astral projection technique, recommends envisioning an imaginary rope hanging from your ceiling. You should use this rope to exert pressure from a single point on your astral body. This will effectively separate your astral body from your physical being. Using the same practice mentioned earlier in which you allow your mind to move one point of your body, envision reaching out with your hands and pulling yourself up the rope. Picture the methodical, slow ascent that your spiritual being is taking to rise out of your physical body. You will most likely experience a feeling of dizziness, which may increase as you ascend up the rope. Continue to climb anyway. As you climb, you will begin to feel the vibrations, which tend to be common throughout the various astral projection techniques. You may experience an increase in the vibrations, and you might even begin to undergo a temporary state of paralysis. Just continue to climb, focusing all of your attention on the ascent. At a certain point, you will free yourself entirely from your body. You will hover over your body, and then your astral being can begin to move freely about as you please. The Lucid Dream Technique. Some people have already experienced an out-of-body experience, but have not fully reached the ability to perform astral projection. If you've ever experienced lucid dreaming, in which you are fully aware that you are dreaming, then you've already technically had an out-of-body experience. The issue, however, is that people who have had lucid dreams are often unable to control how or when they'll experience one again. Many believe that you can enact lucid dreams by thinking about them often throughout the day, and telling yourself that you will have a lucid dream that very night. It is a widely held belief that simply having the desire to experience continual lucid dreams can effectively bring them upon an individual. Not only should you continue to contemplate having lucid dreams throughout the day, but you should also delve into the topic wholly and completely. Research lucid dreams as much as you can, and try to get into contact with and learn from someone who is able to experience them at will. Additionally, when you reflect on the notion of lucid dreams, continue to ask yourself throughout the day, could I be dreaming right now? This will effectively aid in programming your subconscious to prepare for lucid dreaming. Once you achieve a lucid dream and your consciousness recognizes the fact that you are, in fact, having a dream, it's just a matter of being able to recognize the fact that you are not in your body. In a sense, this method is actually less complex than others, because the act of freeing your soul from your body has already been done, you just need to conceptualize it. In order to do so, while in your conscious dream state, you should try to envision the room in which you're sleeping. You'll see your body, and you'll know that you've successfully achieved astral projection. The jump technique. The jump technique is useful in the fact that it can turn any dream into a lucid one. In other words, it can wake up your subconscious, but not your physical body, so that you have achieved a lucid dream. Nonetheless, it must be practiced with careful precision in order to work well. To start, you should ask yourself periodically throughout the day whether or not you're awake. This allows us to examine whether or not we're in the physical realm. If you are, in fact, in the physical realm, you should act out a small jump, as if you were going to fly. Of course, if you are in the physical realm, you'll land right back on your feet. On the other hand, if you're in a dream state, you can continue to float on. Continue to repeat this process, however silly it may feel. It will pay off when you are actually in a dream state and you repeat the same behavior. If you consistently ask yourself whether or not you're in the physical, you're more likely to ask yourself this when you're experiencing a dream. Once you are in a dream and you do your jump to make sure, you will continue to float, which will effectively trigger an out-of-body experience. The first technique. While this technique works consistently well for some projectors, it tends to be difficult due to the fact that it requires a high level of physical discipline. To use this approach, you must refrain from drinking any liquids for a few hours directly preceding your bedtime. You should be experiencing thirstiness as the day wears on and as your slumber draws nearer. You may even keep a glass of water nearby and gaze at it, imagining the act of drinking, but refraining from actually doing so. Immediately before you go to bed, ingest a small amount of salt. Place a glass filled with water somewhere in your room, but not too close to your bed. It should be easy to access but not within reach from where you lie down to sleep. Envision the act of retrieving this glass of water. Think of how you'd rise from your bed, step away, cross the room to pick up the glass, and drink the water. Then, you should go to bed and continue to mentally focus on the fact that you're thirsty. While the continual feeling of thirst may be unpleasant, those who have practiced this method say that they are able to awaken their subconscious while in a dream as it goes towards the glass of water. If you are able to do that, you can recognize the fact that you're having an out-of-body experience and go from there. Watching yourself sleep. In order to astral project, many people approach the phenomenon by simply telling themselves that they're going to watch themselves sleep. First, you must become wholly relaxed. You can achieve a fully relaxed state by completing the behaviors listed above. Unlike some of the other techniques, This approach allows you to focus on the very fact that your intent is to remain conscious. You let your body fall into a sleep or trance-like state, but your mind is going to stay awake. Continue to tell yourself this. The difficulty here is staying awake after your body has already fallen asleep. You'll most likely feel physically heavy and numb, and eventually you may experience tingling or vibrations. Whatever sensations you experience, some report a feeling of pressure in their heads or hear buzzing noises. Remember that you cannot let it affect your journey. Once you've begun to experience these sensations, you can then begin to envision yourself rising up above your body, floating upwards. Try to fully immerse yourself in the feeling of floating. Continue to hold on to this image until you've actually freed your astral projection from your physical body. Chapter 4: What can I do during astral projection? Make sure that you are in the astral plane. You've achieved astral projection, at least, you think so. How can you be sure? For beginners, there's an easy way to check whether or not you've mastered the art of being in two planes simultaneously. After you've completed astral projection successfully a few times and can look at your own body from a different point within your room, opt not to look back at yourself the next time you astral project. Instead, move into a different room or another place around the house. Focus on one specific object that you ordinarily wouldn't take notice of. It could be someone else's belonging, or an item as insignificant as a coin or button. Take note of the object's properties, its shape, size, and color. Observe as many details about the object as you possibly can. Return to your body. Once you've physically woken up, examine the object that you observed during your astral projection. Do the details match? If so, there is only one explanation: you've successfully achieved astral travel. Travel elsewhere. Once you're comfortable, you can continue to move further and further away from your physical body. Start with places that you feel comfortable in or areas that you're familiar with. Then, if you feel ready, you can begin exploring unfamiliar areas. One common misconception about astral projection is that the astral being can only travel a limited distance from the physical body. In actuality, there are no limits whatsoever as to how far a spirit can travel. Nonetheless, it is believed that it may take some time for you to develop your skills, and that you may not have access to roam anywhere you please at first. There are some areas that may be restricted until you have achieved a spiritual graduation in order to enter them. Observe others. Have you ever recalled a specific instance in which you've spent time with a person, but neither of you can pinpoint when or where the shared action took place? Oftentimes, this may indicate the fact that you have met up in the fourth dimension, when your subconscious visited the other persons. Thus, it is possible to visit a person while you, or both of you, are experiencing astral projection. Nonetheless, you should probably save meaningful or important conversations for the conscious state. It may not be possible for both parties to retain every detail of the shared experience in the astral plane, but it is possible for a meeting to take place. Chapter 5: Are there any risks? Psychological issues. While many authorities deem astral projection to be safe for most individuals, it is not recommended for any people who have deep-rooted psychological issues. Because astral projection blurs the line that defines the subconscious and the conscious states, it may exacerbate psychological problems. Possession. One of the most widely held beliefs surrounding astral projection is the notion that your physical body might become possessed while it is vacant, since your soul is elsewhere. Nonetheless, many theorists have debunked that concept with the explanation that your silver cord tethers your soul to the physical body. There is no physical matter that a demon or other negative force can use to tether itself to you. You're not calling upon any dangerous forces, and many projectors believe that there aren't any forces that can sever your silver cord. If you're still uneasy, you can always recite a prayer directly before performing astral projection, or practice in an area where there's a religious symbol or article nearby. Always project yourself as a white, glowing light, and protect your body and astral being. Call upon your religious deities for protection if you need to while you're projecting. Also, you can protect yourself by keeping your vibration level high and avoiding fear before and during the process as best as you can. Death. Some people believe that your physical body is more prone to death when its spirit is elsewhere. They believe that because your consciousness has traveled to a different place, you're less likely to be protected should something bad happen. Nonetheless, your body is no more susceptible to any kind of harm while you're astral than it is during normal sleep. Some also wonder if your astral self can be killed while you're projecting. Such an instance is not known to ever have happened. If, however, you should physically die while your soul is experiencing astral projection, your spirit will simply move on as it normally would. It makes no difference if your soul is physically in your body when the act of death occurs. So, is it safe? Simply put, there is really nothing to fear when it comes to astral projection. Any risks that you may have heard of prove to be untrue. While the first time you attempt to perform astral projection may be a bit fear-inducing, as well as the times leading up to your first actual experience, you must realize that the mind-blowing advantages and possibilities of astral projection make the experience wholly worthwhile. Learn to anticipate the signs of astral projection, and do not fear them once you experience them. It simply means that you're one step closer to achieving a unique phenomenon that only certain individuals are lucky enough to witness. Conclusion. Working towards your first astral projection experience can be a slow process, but once you've been able to complete astral travel, you'll know firsthand that it's an outrageous facet of existence that transcends our wildest preconceived notions of what the mind and body can do. Some individuals who have experienced astral projection claim that its benefits are immeasurable. Most often, people learn to stop living in fear, for they are no longer afraid of death once they've visited the astral plane. Likewise, they are able to observe other places, people, and experiences that they may never have been exposed to in an awakened state. If you're excited by the prospect of experiencing this phenomena firsthand, you should give astral projection a try today, and join the millions of people who have had the fortune of achieving an out-of-body experience. Finally, if you enjoyed this book, please take the time to share your thoughts and post a review on Amazon. We do our best to reach out to readers and provide the best value we can. Your positive review will help us achieve that. It'd be highly appreciated.